Hello, hello. Welcome to Realization Hub. My name is Michelle, and I'm intuitive healer, astrologer, channeler. I do all kinds of intuitive things with fun people in my life. And today's video is going to be an energy update for the new moon in Leo happening on July 24th, which is this Thursday at 9:12 a.m. Hawaii time. So whatever time zone you're in, you might want to adjust the time. I have been really sick. Um, so my voice and I just aren't feeling the best right now. So I'm doing a quick video again. So let's get into this new moon in Leo. The new moon in Leo is happening at 2 degrees Leo. This new moon is really standing out to me as something that is highly transformative for all of us. Of course, if you're a Leo or you have any of these fixed signs, um, like Scorpio and Aquarius and Taurus, this moon is going to be extra activating for you. Um, but the reason why I say it's a potent, transformative new moon is that this new moon is in a direct opposition, a very tight opposition to Pluto. Pluto is the planet of death and rebirth and transformation. It's our soul's evolution. And Pluto is kind of that energy that will bring you down into the depths so that you can move through your fears, um, transmute and alchemize your wounds and your shadows, and evolve into a higher state. And so Pluto's always kind of got this deep and complex, intense intelligence, the type of intelligence you might associate with your soul, in which it helps you evolve into a higher state if you allow it. And the way it might do that is drag you down into your depths to confront some of the things that are hidden within you and to bring it through a healing process and alchemize it. And so Pluto can bring up things like power struggles and manipulation and trauma and things that are hidden, like our wounds that need healing. And so to have this opposition with the new moon in Leo, not only does it make it intense, but it also makes it highly transformative in that we're going really deep with this Leo energy. Leo energy can show up in very fun and playful and extroverted and dramatic and romantic and like showmanship kind of ways. Um, and then you can have like a really healed Leo, really like embodied Leo, really integrated Leo, um, that can be incredibly inspiring and bold and um, creative and authentic. And we have both the shadow side of Leo right now that we could easily see, like in the public eye, leaders that are creating drama, leaders that are using drama, leaders that are performative and not authentic, leaders that are, um, y- you know, not really connecting with what's best for the group, but more so centered around themselves and their own egos and their own wills and agendas. This can be like a shadow side, let's say, of Leo is being too egotistical, too performative, too fake, too dramatic, all of those things. And with this opposition to Leo, this is a new beginning, a new moon cycle, a new like 29 and a half day cycle where we're really digging something up deeply, most likely in our own self expression, in the ways that we are seen and heard and speak and process and think. and we're digging up the shadow stuff related to this Leo energy. I think this is a critical new moon in some ways because Pluto does represent our overall transformation that's happening, which is going to be something we collectively go through together, as well as something that we go through on an individual level that's very personal. And so the reason why this new moon in Leo is, I think, critical and important is that Leo is the opposite sign of Aquarius. Pluto is in Aquarius, which represents this huge transformation that's happening on a collective level in humanity. The way we move humanity forward in our systems. Capricorn is the sign before Aquarius, and Pluto was in Capricorn for a long amount of time, since 2008. And since then, we really saw systems have the power on the planet, and now the power is shifting to humanity and moving our systems forward to support humanity. But right now, we're in that crisis of humanity where we have this shadow side of leadership that is, you know, um, creating disruptions and creating trauma and creating, crisis for humanity and our own well-being. And so that's where we are in this overall transformation. And we have this new moon in Leo opposing that. And what's happening is a very deep energetic thing that we're reworking together, a very psychological, deep thing that we're reworking together, that we're healing together during this new moon cycle. And it has to do a lot with the way our masculine and our feminine energy interplays with each other. This is like a destined release around old, wounded, masculine, um, and feminine energies that are holding us back, that are keeping us stuck in trauma, keeping us stuck in old ways of operating that no longer serve us. Um, and so this new moon is intense in that way, in that it can go really deep in us confronting our own internal power struggles, our own shadows, our own traumas, especially around our voice, especially around our thinking and our communication and being seen and being heard and being valued. Really, when I look at this new moon, it is a very strong heart healing. And I'll get to why that is. That's kind of a tension point in this new moon. And it's an intense tension point because Pluto is involved. And this is like a soul realignment in our relationships, a karmic soul healing and realignment in our relationships. We are dumping out old patterns during this new moon cycle, and it's deep patterns, and it's associated with our masculine and feminine energy, and where especially that warrior like energy, masculine energy is um intervening, intervening with us. Our wounded masculine energy within us is intervening with us, our hearts, what we want to receive, our feminine creative energy, all of that. There's probably so many layers to this new moon cycle, especially because it's leading to a full moon in Aquarius, which looks incredibly multidimensional in the skies. Incredibly multidimensional full moon. And so this is like not just your typical new moon cycle. Okay. So everything happening with the moon here in this new moon, we've got that opposition with Pluto, which is I talked about, but we also have a trine with the north, I'm sorry, with Saturn here. This is something that stabilizes this new moon, that even delays this new moon over the long haul, but in a supportive way. It gives us these positive, supportive qualities of Saturn, which can be like commitment and long term results and taking on more responsibility and building boundaries and structure that work for us, that serve us over the long run, over the long run. And, we have Saturn still in a very tight conjunction with Neptune. Both of them are retrograde. And so that combination can be like, if we positively shed old veils of illusion and see things realistically so that we can make boundaries or so that we can build something that works for us. Okay, I want to just briefly come back to Pluto because it keeps calling me back here. And I'm just looking at this collective heart healing that's occurring around this opposition with Pluto. Sorry, I just had a cough attack because I'm recovering from being really sick. And really, I'm continuing to see us having to move through the shadows, the things that are hidden within us, things that we aren't aware of, that live deep in our psyche. And although we're healing our hearts, we're working through our psyche and our psycho-spiritual energies in order to heal our hearts. So whatever is happening here in the brain and the trauma that's occurred in our brains and in our minds and kind of like in our psychology is related to this heart healing. And so I'm seeing on a collective level where we are kind of going through our spiritual contracts and our relationship contracts with more of like a magnifying glass and looking at the details and really editing some spiritual agreements. And we're particularly looking at those spiritual agreements that have to do with trauma and manipulation and power and domination um and we're going through those with like kind of a fine tooth and we're finding them and we're kind of like editing them out. We're releasing them. So these are very detailed, small agreements in which manipulation and power and control and like our trauma loops can just like keep reoccurring in our relationships and like really seriously intervene with our destined path, our karmic path, like our fated path, the direction that we need to go in for our optimal growth and healing. So this stuff that's getting edited out, the reason why it's getting edited out of your mind, out of your voice, out of your, psycho spiritual self, um, is because you've outgrown it. It's no longer serving you, and it's interfering with your ability to move forward on some level. It's interfering on some level, right? So this is a new moon that leads to some good old shadow work, right? Then we have this trine to the new moon. This is a positive, supportive aspect, and it is trining Neptune and Saturn. Neptune and Saturn are both retrograde. There's a lot retrograding right now. We have Neptune, Saturn, Pluto, and Mercury all retrograding right now. Neptune and Saturn are still in this conjunction, which can energetically be like a renovation project that's happening within you on a spiritual level, where energetic systems inside of you are dissolving and new energetic systems are being embodied. Okay, and in this case, this is more positive in that whatever we're releasing, veils, things in our perception that are creating spiritual fog, delusions, fantasy, you know, things that need to go. They need to go because you need clarity, right? We need clarity. Things are not clear right now. With these two together here, there's more confusion and fear that's occurring out in the world. Not a lot of people are clear. Not a lot of people really know what's going on. It's hard to really see what's happening. Um, and so this is a moment I think that's going to be incredibly historical on a collective level, but also, um, could be like highly transformative for us on a personal level, where, the things that are, um, these, like when I'm looking at the energy of it, these are like really distorted mirrors on an individual level that we see of ourselves, like projections, like really weird projections of ourselves that we have somehow internalized. And so it's kind of like when you're looking at a mirror in a circus and you see like a really distorted mirror and you're like, whoa, my face looks really wide, or my face looks really skinny and curvy, or like I look really fat in this mirror, or I look really skinny in this mirror, or I look really dark in this mirror, just warped or distorted. What I'm sensing is that there are some projections that we have internalized about ourselves that come from the outside world, come from other people in which we've internalized some form of projections. We're starting to take a look at that, and we're starting to look at like how that is not real. And we start to allow those old mirrors of ourselves kind of fall away, where we start to see maybe more of a truer um, kind of presence that we can bring. With Leo in this new moon, it's a healing in which we can show up, especially in our masculine energy, with more of this like enlightened presence, more in the present moment, more aware, um, more in our authenticity, more self connected, more aligned, more in integrity, more in our boundaries, more connected to our soul mission, our spiritual mission, our personal mission. In other words, what you're here to experience, what you're here to create, your life purpose, your higher purpose, whatever you want to call that, you have a new you that's coming to the forefront, um, that is here for a particular experience. Um, and this is where you start to kind of turn away from those old mirrors of yourself and start to see like those aren't true, those aren't true, those aren't true, those are outdated, that's in the past, that's not even mine, that's not even mine. And you start to sense something emerge, and this is more of the authentic you that's brighter. It's a new version of you coming out. Now this new moon is quite is it's packing a very deep healing kind of punch to it. It's going to be squaring Chiron as well. It's not in a tight square with Chiron, but it's in a enough of a square with Chiron where, with this opposition with Pluto, we're definitely digging up old wounds, old traumas during this new moon cycle. Like I mentioned before, a lot of them mental traumas, mental, psycho, spiritual traumas that live in our psyche that are affecting our relationships, right? And then we have this sextile with Uranus, the planet of the higher mind, the planet of awakening, the planet of change and unpredictability and chaos. And a sextile here is a supportive opportunity. Like when I'm looking at this energy, it's like a quantum ascension. It's just kind of like, it's kind of like this is a fast ascension. This new moon cycle, it's a fast ascension. We have the opportunity to allow ourselves to ascend and just kind of like shed these old layers of mental, like mental realities, mental paradigms. Like this is ascension type stuff that's happening right now. Okay. I just want to talk about ascension for a moment. Ascension, the way you ascend, okay, energetically, is that you have to actually go deep and you have to unplug and unattach and unanchor from wounds in different parts of yourself that are stuck in those wounds that are at a lower energetic like frequency, whatever you want to call it. There's like a heavier gravity to it, and that is like being anchored down by a big heavy anchor, and it keeps you anchored into a low level reality that doesn't work for you, that's wounded, that you feel stuck on a treadmill repeating the same damn pattern over and over and over again. And so when you go through an ascension, what happens is you, on a soul level, unanchor from a wound, unanchor from an old identity, unanchor from something deep inside of you, and you let it go and you open up and you let it release. And this frees you up to have a huge, deep detox, which, again, when you're detoxing trauma and you're detoxing wounds and you're detoxing shadowy stuff, that can feel mentally and emotionally disruptive and even physically disruptive. You can literally get sick with the cold or the flu, like I did, or you can be crying out of nowhere, like having emotional outbursts and destabilization, or you can mentally feel like you're going a little bit crazy. Now, this is temporary, and this is the only reason why it can feel kind of crazy and chaotic is because it's happening fast. It just means the energy inside of you is changing very fast, and you are experiencing ascension symptoms. And that can be anything from strong headaches, sore throats, respiratory, flu like symptoms, okay, to feeling kind of mentally crazy, obsessive, fixated, scared, whatever the trauma is, those nightmarish, scary stories repeating as they come out, emotional releases, anything from anger to fear to anxiety to grief to sadness, you name it, guilt, whatever it is. It's the old stuff coming out. And what you're doing when you release that deep old stuff is that you're unanchoring, you're removing the ball and chain where you are stuck in that wound, you're letting the wound go, and you're allowing your level of consciousness and identity to have a fast ascension where you are expanding your consciousness to a new level, you're coming into a new state, and that allows you to come into a new experience, a new reality outside of that old heavy pattern. And that's kind of what's happening with this new moon cycle. It is a continued fast ascension experience. All right, so over the next month, if all you do is just regain your balance when you lose it, I think you're doing a great job because um this is some major like shadow waves that we're moving through on a collective level. This is like shadow territory. We got another wave of shadow, another wave of shadow, another wave of shadow, and we're transmuting it, we're healing it, we're letting it go, and we're rising and we're rising and we're rising because something on a collective level we are done with. We've decided, okay, we are stuck in a timeline that is really not working for us, and we are done with it, right? And that's why this is happening. This is allowing us to actually be done with it, let it go, transmute it, ascend, so that we can freaking move on, right? We can freaking move on because this transit with Pluto in Aquarius, this is leading to a huge awakening in humanity, and not just a spiritual awakening, but awakening of technology and systems and innovations and change on the planet, major change on the planet, scientific change on the planet, like all kinds of things happening on the planet, and there can be some critical things that are interfering with that. And this is kind of like a headlock, where we are energetically shifting that, right? We're shifting whatever is interfering with it, we're cutting it out. Now, this is happening in a very miraculous way. We have Venus in Gemini conjuncting Hygeia, the goddess of miraculous healing. Guys, this is magical healing type stuff in our feminine energy and in our hearts. Whatever is getting triggered, it's going to be transmuted, it's going to work out, and it's going to happen in a very miraculous kind of way. This is not something you have to figure out in your heads. You really just have to allow this to happen. This is some magical healing stuff happening right now. But what makes it challenging is that it is squaring the South Node in Virgo, squaring the North Node um, in Pisces, and we still have Mars coming out of a conjunction with the South Node, which is basically a huge karmic release that just occurred and that just got activated by Mars conjuncting the South Node. This is like going to the dump and dumping lifetimes of baggage into the trash can. Okay. It's like going to the dump with a huge ass truck full of bags of trash, and you just dumped off 50 bags of trash at that dump station, right? And this is stuff interfering with us. Mars is acting like scissors, cutting ties, cutting patterns, cutting things out. It separates things, right? Mars can separate things and it moves, it helps us move through obstacles and challenges. And so, whatever karmic, especially in our relationships, that has been getting in our way, that is seriously intervening with our path forward, is being cut out right now. And in this new moon cycle, it's going to continue to happen because when you have this opposition between Mars and the South Node and the North Node, this is basically saying we have to cut this stuff out so we can move forward, so that we can move forward to our soul's destiny, our soul's alignment. We can move forward towards our intuition. We can move towards, you know, our creativity, our imagination, what we want to create, our dreams, stuff like that with the North Node in Pisces. The fact that we have this T square with Venus and Hygeia, with the North Node and the South Node, this means this is a destined, karmic, and fated turning point in our relationships and in our hearts around dumping this karmic stuff and moving forward in our relationships in a new way. But we have to do a lot of deep healing. We're doing this is like trauma, wounded, healing type stuff. I mean, we've got this T square with Chiron and Pluto in the new moon while Mercury is going retrograde. And then, by the way, Mercury here that's going retrograde is in an exact square with Lilith during this new moon. Okay, Lilith is like the dark goddess. You know, she is not evil. She is a liberator. She's similar to Pluto in that she's going to take you into your shadow territory where you have been shamed, where you have been outcasted, where you have been taboo, where you have not belonged, where you have psychological hidden wounds, related to your feminine energy. And she's going to rip open that cage and liberate you. Okay. So when I say that this new moon is taking us into deep, wounded trauma healing stuff, that's what I mean. It's also leading us into incredible ascension type stuff because this is a part of a huge expansion that is happening and being liberated in our feminine energy. We have Jupiter in Cancer, a feminine energy sign. Cancer, a water sign. Cancer, the sign of the mother, how we feel emotionally secure and protected, our intuitive intelligence, highly psychic kind of sign here. Also very sensitive, emotionally intuitive sign, right? This sign going through a major expansion right now, right? With Jupiter here, it expands everything. It brings luck, good fortune, opportunities, benefits, things like that. And it's in a trine, which is a very supportive aspect, very supportive conversation with Lilith. So, although this may be tough for us on a mental level, challenging for us on a mental level, it's overall very supportive for this experiential expansion and liberation of our feminine energy. Lilith and Scorpio does not mess around. Okay. Scorpio is a sign of death, rebirth, depth, complexity, and truth. Okay. And just psychic awareness, right? And so this is an overall liberation of feminine energy and expansion of it. Feminine energy is not being locked down. Feminine energy is continuing to expand. And this is something that is related to our destiny on a collective level because we have the trine with Lilith here to the North Node in Pisces. Pisces is a water sign. That's a feminine sign. Another psychic, intuitive, emotionally sensitive, imaginative, dreamy, creative, mystical sign, right? And we have here we have Lilith in Scorpio, okay, powerhouse energy, liberating feminine energy here while we're having this big healing going on. And it's a part of our destiny, it's supporting our destiny. We need our feminine energy to be liberated and free and valued for the health of humanity, period. Right? And that's what's happening. Okay, that's what's happening. That might be happening in the undercurrents. We might not be seeing that out there on the news or collectively. We might not see the results of this, especially with the trine with um Neptune and Saturn that delays everything. So we might not see the physical results of this until much later, but everything starts energetically first. And we are doing some major, like, dark, masculine, dark goddess alchemy at this time right now. It is weird because it is like the summertime in the northern hemisphere. It's like the sun's out and it's supposed to be this time of fun. And this is some deep internal alchemy that's happening right now, collectively and individually, obviously, because Pluto is in Aquarius, and this means we're all kind of taking our power back. And this is the way we're doing it. We're doing it through shifts in consciousness and ascension, right? That's how we're taking our power back. We're going deep, we're going energetic, we're going to the root of it. And that's how we're doing it. We may feel helpless out there right now. There might be people out there resisting and doing the dirty work out there right now, but we've got so many old souls on the planet right now that are doing the energetic alchemy right now and doing the ascension work right now to get this stuff out of our way, right? So that's what's happening. This is an epic new moon, and literally when I was just peeking at the full moon in Aquarius, it's just it's all the word I have for it is multidimensional. It is just insanely multidimensional. I wouldn't have it any other way with Aquarius and a full moon in Aquarius, but it is just wow. Yeah. Um all right, guys. I'm tired. I need to recover. This is all I really wanted to share with you. Please take care of yourselves over the next moon cycle, over the next 30-ish days. Make sure you're drinking tons of water. Make sure you take plenty of space to regain your balance if you lose it. Definitely align with a healing modality that works for you. Um, Make sure that you can do some somatic movements if you start to have trauma releases. This is about regulating your nervous system and being a safe space for yourself as you alchemize and release trauma and do some shadow work and come into more of a brighter version of you. And this is a hugely transformative time for leaders on the planet. Um, this is where we are really sifting out, you know, the down and dirty leaders with the authentic leaders that are really here to shine their gifts and talents and help humanity move forward. And this is the time when we're seeing some separation around that. We're seeing the difference between that. We're seeing a huge alchemy happening in the collective around a new form of leadership that is emerging. All right, guys, this is again a marathon. We are here on planet Earth during very transformative, apocalyptic, enlightening times. And just remember that you're not alone. And if you need any support, you can find more information on my channel. I wish you the very best. Okay, thank you guys. Bye.